everybody. This is Rich Hanlin, and we are back at Mortgage Ballers, and today I've got Christina DeLaTorre. I'm not even saying it right. Say your last name for everybody to know it correctly.
DeLaTorre.
Oh, sure. Show off. Okay, there we go.
Sorry.
Thank you for coming on the show today. I always appreciate it. You're going to like this video today. You're going to like this conversation because Christina has a lot of layers, and do not ever tell yourself that you can't do something, because you're going to hear somebody today that's had up to 10 rental properties at one time, that still has rental properties, that helps people every day get into properties. This is the kind of interview that if ever you want to listen to it, this is going to be one you're going to want to pay attention to, because everybody has to take a first step in order to go forward in the direction that they want to go. I've learned two things. We wake up every morning and we get pulled. We all get pulled. The question is, are you going to allow yourself to get pulled off track from the things that you're trying to accomplish and be and do in life that bring you happiness and money and all that? Or are you going to get pulled the other direction and say, oh, I'm going to scroll on Facebook for 3 hours and maybe I'll spend 1 hour on what my dreams are? I'm really trying to work on time management, Christina, even at this point in my life at 57 years old, almost 58. But thank you for being on the show today. We have lots of questions for you, and I know your voice is a little bit, you've been doing a lot of videos, doing a lot of things, but we're gonna try and get every ounce of that voice out of you today. Let everybody know, how long you been doing this?
I am always counting by my youngest child.
Okay.
She was 3 years old when I got into the mortgage business, and so it has been 28 years.
And, well, wow, 28 years. Tell me this. Not too many people go into this business and also have a child the same year. Because it's almost like having a child with the way it pulls on you in your schedule. I mean, what was that like, getting in the industry and also being, I guess, what would be a first-time mother at that time, too?
Well, actually, so she was my second child.
Oh, okay. All right.
I took time off from being a retail manager. So I had been blessed to be a retail manager in college. And so I had a career already.
Wow.
But I took 3 years off with her and her brother, who was older. And so then it was kind of the mile marker. I needed to wait till January of 2027, when she was 3, before I decided to go back full time. And then after that, I just fell in love with it. And I think my daughter was taking messages for me when she was like 10. So I felt kind of guilty, actually.
Work them.
Child labor laws.
I did I tried to do a cable commercial one time, and I brought my sons in when they were small, and they were on the commercial, and we always laugh at it because it's all staged, right? And they made it look like a marathon. It was kind of funny. I poured people's bills on top of them, to show the weight of debt.
Yes.
It's probably out there somewhere. I should try and find it. Help me out with this part. Knowing that you have a diverse background, knowing that you've been doing it 28 years, what is your favorite part about this business? I mean, if you had to or do you like it all, or is there anything specific that just, like this is where my heart is in the lending industry? Let us know.
I've learned early on, I like challenges. And if
Okay.
you're going to be in this business, you have to like challenges. And
Lots of challenges.
I tell everybody every day when I get my repeat clients and my repeat, folks that are, 780 score and 20% down, I'm like, I'm lucky could have done your loan. Thank you very much for trusting me and taking, allowing me to do it. But what I love is that challenge. And sometimes it takes some mind boggling, but I love the investor side.
Sure.
I love trying to figure out a first-time home buyer when they have hardly anything, because I want them to have savings when I'm done and no debt. That's a really good point. I think that those are the interesting parts and the integral parts. I'm like you said, sometimes going after a $2 million deal isn't my caveat. I mean, it's definitely investors. I've been an investor, and I believe in it progressing folks to a next level of security with wealth.
100% agree. I mean, my first investments were the house we lived in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm amazed because the house cost us $118,000. It's worth, that same house 30 years later, it's like $585,000 in California. I'm like, but it's 30 years old. There's
Yeah.
things I don't understand. I'm in Georgia now, and you can still get homes very reasonably. Um, but a lot of people, when they went on the move after the big C word, they started coming in from the East Coast, West Coast, and invading other states like Colorado. Colorado's a
Yes.
great state. Arizona's a great state. Nevada is seeing a lot of people because people are saying, you know what, if that ever happens again, I don't want to be in the suburbs. I don't want to be in the city. I want this kind of a lifestyle. And it's driven up prices, because they've taken
Right.
that equity and they're like, hey, I can get how much? I'll pay full price.
Yes.
So it's always interesting to me. Tell me, what made you take the plunge? And I'd love to bring Tamara Jenkins on and interview both of you because she did the same thing. But I think the hardest one is your first rental. But how did you get into rental properties, like buying rental properties?
Well, I have to give credit to my family.
Okay.
I am second generation. And so I have two sides of the world. One Texas family and one family that is in northern Colorado.
Okay.
And the Colorado one was second generation. And all of my grandfather, when he came here, he within 5 years, even before the Depression, he had a bar, a grocery store, rentals, a pool hall.
Entrepreneur. Okay.
So he was an entrepreneur, and I noticed growing up, there was always rentals, and it was in a Spanish colony.
Sure.
So if I wanted extra money at 12, I would be like, "Hey, Aunt, I want money," and she'd be like, "Great, well, we're gonna go clean up rat poop today," and I used an appropriate word instead of the other word, and then and
Thank you.
we're gonna paint today, and so I would go, and from the time I was 12, I worked on rentals, and so when I was in my early 20s, my dad had received one of the properties as an inheritance. And after I had my first son, he handed that over to me and said, "Here you go. Make sure you collect it every month. And if you have any issues, let me know." And I have a funny story. They didn't pay the first month that they were supposed to. So I showed
Of
up.
course not.
They didn't speak English. I didn't speak Spanish. And I didn't leave the doorstep until they gave me my cash, and they were never late again. And they bought the house from me.
Nice.
And and then in my late 20s, when I got into the mortgage business, I had a lot of amazing entrepreneurs and investors I was doing their rental loans, their
Okay.
investment loans. And what was great was they were giving me advice. And so I started proceeding then to go ahead and start acquiring other properties, and a lot of them with, 2-unit properties and stuff in some of the older areas of Greeley. So
You also told me that you were a property manager at one time.
yeah, so in the early 2000s, I owned my own mortgage brokerage. And then what
Oh,
ended up
wow.
happening was I had a bunch of investors from California, kind of like we were talking about, and they wanted to buy homes in Colorado because at the time that was affordable and they could rent them out. And the numbers were good for rentals
Hmm.
and the profit margin. So when they did that, they tried to find property managers, and they just had a really big problem with that. And they're like, "Well, hey, you have your 8 to 10 properties. Will you just manage mine?" So I ended up at one point with 30 properties,
Oh my
owning a
goodness.
mortgage brokerage, and having 2 young children. It was insane. I don't even know how I did it.
It's you have a very interesting story. I'm starting to make a little more sense because this is the first time I've spoken to you, I believe.
Yes.
How long have you been with Expert Home Lending?
I joined in November
Okay.
of 2024.
All right. Where were you before that?
I was had been at a couple of brokerages, and I
Okay.
had been at Guild for a year.
Guild. All right.
And before that, my longest stint was with Caliber for 5 years.
I know Caliber.
And yeah, retail was good at Caliber for a while until they decided they wanted to make the books look good and sell the company. So it was all of a sudden our commissions were getting cut. And
Right.
retail's a rough thing on experienced loan officers. That's for sure. So
Well, welcome to the dark side.
thank you.
I mainly only know this side, so it's I and you sound like I always tell people once you get to the point where you can generate business, the direct retail model starts to wane a little bit when we figure out the freedoms of the other side. If you don't know how to get business, hey, I think a direct lender is good because
Yes.
sometimes they can feed
Yes.
it, especially if they service the loans, they can push them
Yes.
back in. But they also, I remember one time a guy asked me, how many deals do you do per month, Rich? I said, I do about 12 deals. I was just an individual broker by myself working out of the house. He goes, you should come work for me. My people are doing 60 deals a month. And I'm like, how much do those people make? He goes, oh man, one guy's going to make like $60,000 this year. And I went,
Sorry.
Okay.
Right.
So I self-generate and, I'm going to probably do $300,000.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's like, what? And I'm like, well, I self-generate, I get to keep all the money. And, why would people do that? Because you feed them. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. There's
No.
people that they need guarantees. I mean,
Right.
we have a lot of single moms in this industry, and
I was
they
one at
they
one
have
point.
responsibilities,
Yeah,
and I know
absolutely.
that they need stuff. I had one person sign at a direct lender for a $5,000 signing bonus with a 2-year clawback guarantee, and I'm like, for $5,000.
Oh,
On the other side, I got a guy in Colorado that got offered $800,000, but he's already. I know it sounds, and you're like, oh my gosh, but here's the other side of that, Christina, is that's a W-2. You're going to give 50% of that back on the first payment. So you're really going to get about 400. You're like, oh my God, that's still good. Yes, but you got a 2-year clawback and you're going to
yeah.
sell their rates. And this guy's already $1 million earner on our side. I'm like,
Mm.
you're not going to sell those loans. You came from that environment
Right.
and
Right.
you're selling that rate sheet. They're going to make that money back somehow. They're not going to run lean. But what I find is that it's happening right now. Direct lenders are starting to throw the money out to rebuild because why? I think they see a change coming. I could
Yes.
tell you we're having the second biggest import month that we've had since we opened. And so something's going on out there. Optimism, maybe, hoping
Yes.
that the rates will go. But tell me, when you talk to your clients, what are because every market is different. What are the fears that the people have when you talk to them? What kind of challenges are you having to overcome, from the marketplace that you're speaking with?
Well, Colorado has definitely seen some of the biggest increases, and
Mm-hmm.
before COVID, probably really had been very cyclical as far as the recessions and stuff with
Sure.
housing. But we really haven't seen a recession since 2008, and of course, we were in the top three in Weld County, Colorado, during that during the 2008 to 2010 debacle.
Okay.
So I think the really biggest thing I tell people is if you can afford a home, just start, because if you don't start, you're probably going to lose your window.
Yeah.
And I think the hardest thing now is going from 2022 when I had 50 pre-approved first-time home buyers to having 10 now. And I
Sure.
think, and it's just a math. I mean, the math doesn't lie, and you've got to be able to afford that payment. And I'm thrilled when I'm able to do it. And see, folks, maybe they have to have dual income or have, but I'm seeing a lot of parents and grandparents helping with down payment. And that really inspires me because I think we should give, like, it's not that we have to give that wealth to our children, but I think that if you look at these conglomerates, they want our children in these apartments. They don't want them
Yes.
to have the opportunity to own a home because that gives them a brain and gives them challenge, the ability to do things. The other struggle we're really dealing with in Colorado right now is homeowners insurance. And I'm sure people have heard of that at this
Yep.
point, and it's about doubled here. So I'm really trying to do the emphasis of, yes, you might be only buying a $400,000 home, but you have $800 or $600 going towards homeowners insurance and taxes, and that can get kind of steep.
Why do you think, I mean, I know why Florida, I know why California with fires. What is the main push with Colorado? Why do you think those insurance premiums are going up?
We have the same issue as California. We do more fire mitigation, but we do have a
Okay.
lot of fires. And in fact, the fact that somebody started a fire in Broomfield just 2 years ago and took down, that, like, gosh, I don't remember how many homes, like 500
Mm.
homes in subdivision. I mean, we had one in Colorado Springs,
Yep.
which is another city that I stay in quite a bit, and there was a whole subdivision there that burned down about 10 years ago. So we have a lot of that. And then on the plains of Colorado, I mean, really, it's desert, so you get tornadoes and
It
other
is.
items.
A lot
So
of people
people
don't
always think
realize that. They think of the Rocky Mountains and
mountains.
snow, but it's like, well, wait a minute. That's actually high plains up there.
Yes.
And it could burn for days and just move. I didn't realize it. Colorado Springs is a mile high, which is even different. And you're like, gosh, it's a different environment depending on where you're at.
Well, especially if it's dry. I mean, so those are
Sure.
the biggest challenges I feel for
Yeah,
first-time
water's
home
tough.
buyers. Yeah. And then right now with rental properties, a lot of my investors, unless they're finding a really good bargain, they've really kind of pulled back in the market a little bit because you just don't have the profit margin we used to have. So
Sure.
they're waiting until they find something, with maybe a friend that they know of that's giving them information about, like, hey, so and so selling or things like that. So
No, it's my investors were mainly California, but with me out of California and available to get to Alabama, Tennessee, and Arkansas and
That's
Florida,
great.
South Carolina, North Carolina, within a 2-hour drive of where I'm at. In case people wondered why I picked Swanee, Georgia, or why we
Yeah.
picked Swanee, Georgia, we can get a lot of places, but there's still a lot of affordable housing, especially when we get into the areas where bases are at.
Hmm.
And you have,
Yes.
they're putting housing there because a lot of people want to live off base. They get stipends. So they all of a sudden you have
Correct.
these good rental guaranteed payments, brand new homes. And that same home might, a good example, I bought one for, um, not Del Webb, DR Horton. It was 156. That same home was 456 in California. Same
Yeah.
exact builder, same exact home.
Wow.
I could have bought, I mean, the down payment, DSCR, depending on how you do it, but that amazed me. That's when I realized, I told my wife, I said, California's broke. Like, how will our kids, we helped our son buy a house. We paid $330. By the time he left to come to Georgia with us, he had just hit 2 years. We sold it for $530. It's a 30-year-old home,
I
1,000
know.
square feet.
We're
You could
dealing
buy a
with some of that.
mansion in Georgia for $500,000.
Yes.
And I'm just like,
Yes.
whoa. And you can still water your yard. Um,
Yeah. Or
Now, I couldn't pick up on it. Are you doing everything by yourself? Are you part of a team?
I'm doing everything by myself. I do have a in-house processor
Okay.
transaction coordinator that I'm using. I'm great with the numbers. I love analyzing tax returns. I still do it by hand before I
Sure.
send it through the system. But just because that's my thing. Accounting background. But really the biggest thing is my transaction coordinator. She's detailed. She puts the little things together, and I need that because Christina will go, squirrel, there's another house. I got to go run and look at, it's like, so it's really helpful. I have a few colleagues that are looking to retire from retail or retire from that
Okay.
other realm or correspondent. And they're really looking at different things to come on because retail's been tough and it's,
Sure.
you get fed, but it's, it does take a little bit of your soul, I believe.
I've been doing this 35 years. I've had a lot of ups and downs. I get worried because sometimes I see the people, a couple interviews lately, they came in 20 or 21. And I was like,
Ooh.
okay, how's that been? Because that was like not normal. I had some of my top originators that were burnt out after 20 and then 21 hit. We had back-to-back years. And
Yeah.
that's when I decided, hey, I'm going to leave California. I've already, they're saying they're going to raise those rates to slow it down. And I thought, oh my gosh, we're coming off all those low rates. I remember what happened last time. And that's where Xpert was kind of born. Like, okay, we're going to have to come up with a
Wow.
hybrid model and we're going to have to go a lot of states. And instead of just going after the best people in California, we're going to go after the best people in all these states. And then they know good people who know good people who know good people. And we're very blessed that we have so many. I mean, it's been 3 years and 1 month, and we're up to 625 originators as of
Wow.
today.
That's
And that's
awesome.
kind of why I'm doing this, because I want, number one, it gives me a chance to get to know you, but we have some incredible stories, and I want to get those stories out there because people, they see a name. I want them to be able to say, oh, there's a video right there. Oh my gosh, I can relate to her. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I want to do, I want to get a rental property. Um,
Yes. And
there's
I respect.
so much experience out there,
Yes.
people like yourself. But on the flip side, when you are not doing loans, when you are not going through tax returns with your CPA hat on, when you're not putting people in the rental properties or looking for yourself, what do you like to do? Tell us a little bit about your off time.
Well, I have to tell you that one of my off times is cleaning an Airbnb.
Okay.
Um, Sometimes, and I do have a cleaning crew that will come in if I'm not available, which is fine
Okay.
because we had a very slow year last year. So of
Sure.
course I got back down and dirty and started cleaning it.
Right
But
on.
I am an avid golfer. I did say good golfer, an avid golfer, and
All right.
play on a league. And those are some of my best friends. And so it's
Okay.
always every week it's just a blast. And we try to go out on the weekends as well. I have 7 grandchildren ranging in ages from 14 to 1. And so I
Wow.
am constantly trying to figure out if I'm supposed to be at a soccer game, a wrestling match, football. And, it's definitely, it's almost harder than when I was a single mom being a
All right.
broker. So it's been really amazing. But, the family support is great. Um, you know, I think my grandkids are about to start answering the phones and taking messages now. And so I'm feeling a little guilty, like maybe I should like not be working when I'm, spending a little bit of time with them. But love the mountains, don't love the cold.
All right.
My life is definitely an ocean and sand. So
Right. You are, the word matriarch is coming up. It sounds like 7 grandkids. How many kids total?
I have 2 children. So my
2
son,
children with 7 grandkids.
yep.
Wow. Of course they love you because
Yeah.
they hell yeah, they want some time off too. They're like, and yes, my answer is always yes. I already told, I have a 1-year-old grandchild and one that was just born. I've already had a talk with both of them that the answer is yes. If you ever have problems with your parents, yes, you can come live with us. And they're like,
I've done the same thing.
stop telling them that. And I'm like, well, they're going to know. Don't put me in that situation because
Right.
I'm not
Right.
going to be on your side. I'm going to say, yes, come live with grandma and grandpa because
Yeah.
I'll take all the time I can get.
Yeah. No, that's true. And it's funny, the teenagers, when their mom and dads are around, they're like, and then when they're not here, they're like, kind of goofy. And it's totally a different relationship now that I've got some teenager ones.
I love
Teenage
that.
boys. Yeah.
That's
So,
you are a busy person. I
yeah.
like it.
Yes. And I like to, I've just bought my first electric bicycle last year
Okay.
because I ride a regular bicycle, but I couldn't go far enough, quick enough.
Okay.
So, so I gave my boyfriend the old one that you have to like pedal, and I took the electric one, and we go for
You know,
like
those
3
mechanical
miles.
ones.
So yeah, so it's been fun, and yeah, just anything pickleball. We do pickleball,
Okay.
when working still gets in the way, so I have to try to figure out how to manage it, but I try if it works out.
Well, I want everybody to keep hearing there's a reoccurring theme here that if you were to take all the top originators who have business going all the time, they're inserting themselves out there all the time. I've heard golf, I've heard pickleball, I've heard bicycling, and you run into other people, investment properties, cleaning my own property. You run into other people that
Yes.
are maybe doing those same hobbies, and you have an immediate connection before you ever talk business. But those relationships, and I always tell people, in your crowd that you are hanging out with, do they even know what you do? Because some people are like, oh, I don't. It's like, I guarantee you, everybody I know knows what I do.
Yes, same here. Yeah.
I don't force myself on them, but I always say I always welcome answering questions. And, some of my friends, I'm like, I don't want to do your loan because I don't ever want to have problems with you, but I'll give you my thoughts. And
Right.
I know a bunch of good people, but, that's, I used to try and do everything. And some people are like, no, Rich, I will only deal with you. And I'm like, I don't have time to do it no more. I hate saying that, but the company was 623. I know that my value is trying to be there for you guys. If Christina's calling me that she needs it, she probably has a borrower or a realtor who needs an answer. And you are my client, where the realtor and borrower are your client.
Right.
So our job is to make that, give you the lenders that you never have to say no. Because if we're saying no, then hopefully no one can do it. And sometimes maybe we should say no. But
Oh, right. I've learned that lesson the hard way.
like, we say yes to everybody. All right, do this for me. I like asking this question. Well, I guess you already answered that as far as your advice for people. What are you seeing on the realtor side? I don't know if you saw it. We're down to 25% of the licensees that we had 4 years ago, and there's still 93,000 of us. There's still, that's licensees who can help you with loans, but then you go to the other side, there's still a lot of homeowners, things like that. Where does that give you fear? Does that give you hope that you're riding through that same market that these people are leaving and you're still holding on? Because now there's going to be less competition, truly. Everybody will come flooding back in. But man, Christina, if you're out of this market for 6 to 8 months, even 1 year, technology just changes. I would be lost.
Incredible. I honestly, I really had some doubts last year. I think last year was probably my roughest year.
Okay.
I skated through 22 okay. 23 was, wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. I didn't starve to death. 24, I was starting, and I had put back some money in pennies, knowing that the market was changing and shifting.
I did the same thing.
I wanted to be prepared before, like I was, I thought I was prepared in 08, and I wasn't prepared enough. So I was very prepared. And I just decided that this is what I love. And I never told anybody this until my 40s, but I don't just want people to be in a home because it gives them wealth or gives them, that situation, but it's the security and having, security for their children and their families. And I had been in a situation where my single father had raised me, and he was a great man. He was a teacher. He was an amazingly intelligent man, borderline, I think he was genius, borderline insane. And we were homeless a few times.
Okay.
And so my gift is to serve those that I can help give them stability with their families.
No, that's awesome. I'm glad you shared that with us. Do you have any questions for me? I'm sitting there drilling you with questions. You don't know a lot about me. Is there anything that I can answer that? And I answer anything. I have nothing to hide. I've had ups, highs, lows, lefts, and rights. But you've got my undivided attention. Is there any question? Not that put you on the spot. I know we didn't talk about that, but I always want to make sure. Is there anything you want to know about me?
Well, I'm interested in how in the world you decided to make this Xpert just in a situation where you went from like, I'm just going to build it because, and it's kind of like one of those things where, you build it and they will come. But I mean, when I first heard about it through Catherine Barnett and, Ken Schmidt,
okay.
some other folks in my area, I started looking up like who they were umbrellaed under. And I'm like, I don't want to be under anybody anymore. I just want to be back on my own again, and I'm a little bit older than you. So,
I don't know about that.
And then, so I just decided, I'm like, this is my, this is what I plan. And if I don't plan on retiring anytime soon, but I want to be able to take care of my business, take care of my folks, and be able to still give from my heart.
Sure.
But how did you just fathom getting that? Because I know just the licensing, just doing my DBA, how did you get to that point where you got this going?
Well, contrary to popular belief, this is my fifth business. And so people say, why didn't you do this one the first time? Because I wasn't ready. I didn't have the maturity. I didn't have the knowledge. I started as a one person. Then I opened up a commercial office, got 10 loan officers, 12 of us total in there. And that was one of my favorite places. But I started in the industry at a broker, became a part owner of that one called Sacramento Home Loans. We had Auburn Home Loans, which was a sister company. That was a family-owned one. My wife's dad was one of the first brokers of California.
Wow.
And so he threw me at it, and I learned how to run a brokerage. Over that time, I did that 8 years, and then her brother came in, and it's like, hey, you do this. I appreciate all that you've taught me. I'm going to go try and open my own. And I did that. And of course, you get your fingers crushed. You live, you learn, you live, you learn.
Yes.
I had a great company up to the 2008, but I only did refis, and there were no refis. I never did purchases. That's the way I learned in the industry. So or during like a 3 to 4 year period of 2008, 2012, I rethought everything, and I'm like, what did I do wrong? And I had friends who'd done purchases, and they're like, there's always purchases, Rich. Yeah. One person's hardship becomes another person's blessings, investors, but no one wants to do it because they're afraid to ask people to bring money in, where refis, you can just tie it all in. And I was like, well, but it makes sense. They got to bring money in. So I had to relearn. It was either get out of the industry or relearn, retool. I learned every down payment assistance program. I went out there and started getting realtors, learned how to help people with their credit. And then I said, okay, I had answered so many questions. I went ahead and got a DBA for Answer Home Loans, and I held on to that. And then in 2015, I reopened a brokerage called Answer Home Loans. And this time I took a partner, a guy that used to work with me. And I said, let's do this together. He's really good at recruiting. I'm good at running this side. Let's put them both together. And we got up to about 150 loan officers, mainly Northern California. We were doing, at the peak, 850 deals a month. We got up to number 4 in the nation on that for a while. But back-to-back COVID, I told him, I think I want to go do something different. I want to go correspondent. I want to be able to lend money. I want to compete different. I want multiple states. And he's like, hey, I'm happy where I'm at. And I'm like, cool, you take this company, and anybody that wants to come can come, or they can stay. I didn't know if anybody would come.
Yeah.
Alicia Budno, who's one of my current partners. She was my AE at UWM to help do that. And
Wow.
I said, can you be my AE? And because she had 2 top 10 companies, she's like, I don't think they'll let me do it. And I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And here's my new business model and stuff. And she went, and about a week later, she said, you know what? I'm not going to be your AE because I want to be your partner. And I went,
Wow. That's
wait, you're
awesome.
going to leave UWM. You're the number 1 AE in the whole United States of all AEs, not just UWM, for 4 years running. You're going to walk away from it. She said, I'm burnout too. I'm ready for a change. Her and her husband, Alex, who runs our funding, because he was an AE, also came. The 3 of us opened up Xpert Home Lending. We both moved here, me, California, them. But we put the business model, we took a piece out of Answer Home Loans. We took a piece out of Nexa, which is our
Oh,
recruiting
okay.
piece.
Yes.
And we just modified a little bit. We took a piece out of like U Mortgage with the correspondent side and said, well, I want broker and core. We tried to put together the ultimate platform by an originator. I originate too. I do real estate.
Yeah.
What would I want if this is going to be my last company? Let's try and knock it out of the park. And then the Answer Home Loan model was a low broker fee, and basically try and hire people that have a methodology in place that know how to do purchases, and cater to the real estate agents because they are the ones, the lifeblood back to us.
Right.
And we know, and I know what you guys do on the weekends with your time for away from family, stuff like that.
Yep.
So that we had a good platform with relatable, experienced people. Now, I need to be honest here. In my lifetime, I thought 100 loan officers was a lot.
Yeah.
And wherever you're at in life, you can say what you want, but I was like, okay, wow,
It's a lot.
Lord, you must really think a lot of me that I have enough ability to do that, because I don't know how to do 100 people. And now where I'm laughing, because here we are at 6:25 as of this morning. And what's nice, you don't know this, but I'm starting to announce this. We've had all the owners working, doing everything, but we've gotten so big that we're going to start specializing. I'm going to get out from behind the desk in 2025, kind of what we're doing right now, and start traveling back more. My goal is to do what I do best as an originator, which is help you guys get 1 more loan a month.
Oh, okay.
Not go get
Awesome.
600 more loan originators, but it's like, let me go get the coaches. Let me go get what's working right now and flood it back to you guys. And then you guys pick and choose what you want, because everybody's market's a little different. But
Right.
that's where my energy and time wants to be. And the other partner's like, hey, but we love the back end of it. And I'm like, cool, let's go with our strengths as we
Yes.
take this to the next level or the next 2 years, because it's only going to get busier. But a lot of originators are hurting right now financially.
Yes.
And so they don't have the money to go listen to coaches or try different things. I'm like, cool, let me go do it. Bring that knowledge back, and for free, I can give it to you guys. And some of the stuff will stick, some of it won't. Just like we're doing now, because some of our lower end, less producing originators, let's say they do 1 a quarter, they can watch something like this and go, okay, what's different about Christina? I'm going to reach out to Christina. We work for the same company. I'm in a different area. We don't overlap. Christina, can I just talk to you? And, we have these knowledgeable people
Yes.
that could easily, our Facebook group, you can ask a question, and you have these, some of the top originators in the nation answering these
Yes.
questions. But that's how it went. But I'm never going to say it's because I did something. It was the right partners at the right timing with the right platform. And we've had to change a few things as we went, because like
Right.
anything, we were like, oh, that didn't work very good. Let's go this way. A lot of people ask us, they say, how come you only are core with UWM? And it's like, that wasn't necessarily by design. A lot of people don't realize that UWM is one of the few platforms where you get to use the same platform as a broker as you do as a core. So there's no learning curve.
That's
And when
nice.
they give you a CTC and you fund that transaction, you are, that's a done deal. They're going to buy it off of our warehouse line.
Yeah.
You get to other lenders, they give you CTC, you fund it, and right before they buy it, they double check everything. And they go, hey, we made a mistake. We're not going to buy that. And you're like,
Yeah.
whoa, wait a minute. In
I've been
this
there.
market,
Yeah.
that's how we protect ourselves at the broker level for what we do. But in a different market, hey, when I've got thousands of loans, I can take a little more risk. But Kind is right there. I love Kind. We got a
Yes.
couple more, but then it really drops off. But relationships,
Yes.
I want to know that somebody has our company's back, and you start to see a few of those. Tony Babakwa, Nicole with Kind, Kelly with the Loan Store, and then obviously UWM. We've got two of them, Vinny and Hayden. They're different than our bottom AEs who just dial for dollars. There's a
Yes.
relationship there. You put all that together, and somehow, some way, 625 people find their way to your platform. So
Yep.
that's
Well,
how we got here.
I will tell you, it's worked. I mean, I came in, I started getting everything ready in November, put together my DBA in December. I've done, I think, almost as much business as I did last year altogether.
Wow.
And I've already
Already this year?
already this year.
Wow.
I think as of today, my closing this afternoon. And then I have surpassed my income from last year already. So thank you for having built this.
Wait a minute. It's like February 28th. What are you talking about?
I had a rough year last year, but I
appreciate your honesty. So
yeah,
that's blessings to you. I hope that you have
thank you.
a year that you're like, oh my gosh.
Yep.
Thanks for sharing that with that honesty. But I'm going to remind you what you just told me. It's February 20th. You're 2 months in. And I think the majority of the growth of this year is still yet to come.
You're going to make me cry.
Awesome. No, I'm like, whoa. That is anybody who wants to say, oh, it's too hard. You better just listen to what she just said. I hope you have one of the best years that you've ever had coming out of this. I will tell you this. I've had, you want to know why I do this, Christina? I had one of my loan officers. She's with us. I'm not going to embarrass her. Brittany Wilkerson. She came up to me and said, you know what? Why don't you do this in other states? Because this platform changed my life. My husband and I just bought our dream property and we're building our dream house. Never in my life did I think that we could do something like that, but this platform has allowed me to do that. And I'm like, thank you for sharing that. Like,
yes,
it's not what can you get rich. Rich is the last one to get paid in this line.
right.
I want people that have changed lives if they're going to mess with our platform. I don't just want more loan officers. I want people that you have dreams too, right? Yeah. We all have dreams. Why can't we help each other get to those dreams?
Absolutely.
That's a better environment to be in. And it sounds like Catherine Barnett, who's one of our top people.
Yes.
She is a machine. We're going to capture her on video.
Yes. I met with Catherine or I call her Kat. I met with her. We had lunch when I had a full team. I had another LO and an assistant at the time, and I met with her for lunch. And I want to say it was 2021 when I met with her. And, we always just kind of didn't contact each other all the time, but just kind of, and once I saw she was here, I went, bingo. That's somebody I want to be. And she's younger than me.
Okay.
And she is my mentor.
She's a lot of people's mentor.
Yes.
Her and I fight all the time over FHA streamlines in a good way, business model way, because she has a heart for that.
Yeah, and I do agree with her just because of the fact that, if you need to get paid 2.25 on an FHA streamline, you probably shouldn't be in this business. Sorry.
Agreed. And so she has pushed us enough that we've just made a recent change with Remen to drop that so that we can fit those in specifically, because not all lenders will let us do that, but some will say, hey, on refinances only, you can do this without affecting your purchase side. And so Remen stepped up for that, which Krista Doniker, little shout out there, will help get her some more business as an AE, but give people an option. We might do a couple more too, because we always want competitive rates without blowing out our core side, because that affects a lot of people. So we got to be careful, because we have people that, like Stephanie Gilbert does 15 deals a month. We have to take all those people into consideration, because people say, why won't you just do this? I need a 0.5% comp. And I'm like, well, just do borrower paid. Do core, do this, do that. But we have so many business models within the business model, which is something I never thought of either. But This was a great interview. I'm glad your voice held out. It's been
Yes.
perfect, spot on.
I'm a little deep.
It's fine. I've learned some stuff today, and I'm glad I got to meet with you one-on-one. I look forward to meeting you in person.
Yes.
I want to say thank you for people sometimes stay a day, sometimes they stay 20 years, but anybody that chooses our platform, I'm just very thankful, because I have met so many people from so many different states that I never thought that my life would be here in this moment. And when people say, gosh, I can never do that. And I'm like, I didn't sign up for this. I just kept going in a certain direction. And over time, I've had my rear end kicked. And I used a different word there as well. But
yes.
It's
we all
consistency
have.
And staying forward. I stay in my lane. I don't get out of my lane too much. And anything I do, like YouTube videos, it's because I'm learning so I can bring it back into the lane I'm in and help my people who maybe are camera shy or not impromptu speakers. It's like, hey, you got to get on video. I want people to meet you, see you, hear you, and put a face with it, because they will relate. 44 states, I learned this. People say, oh, how am I going to get... There's 350 million people. You only need about 100,000 of them to relate to you, and you'll have more than enough business for the rest of your life.
Yep.
But how are you going to get in front of those 100,000 and it's doing stuff like we're doing right now?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it. All the opportunities. And I mean, I will tell you, my onboarding with Nate, I'm just going to put a shout out to him, was probably
Nate's
more
awesome.
onboarding than I got with some correspondent companies and another brokerage that I had tried. So I had looked at Nexa and looked at another brokerage, and I was feeling like it was me, and now I'm realizing it was them.
Well, I love hearing it. I appreciate you, Christina, spending all your time with me today. I hope your voice gets better, and I wish you the most prosperous and awesome 2025. I look forward to talking to you again to follow up with you. Thank you for your time today. And our shout out as we do it on Mortgage Ballers, stay thirsty, my friends.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.